Pam Bondi's fashion fail goes way deeper than just a miniskirt. What started as a simple mistake turned into a political disaster that almost ruined her career. But here's the twist. It wasn't an accident. Someone set her up, and things are about to get ugly. Stick around to see how this all unfolds, because trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Watch until the end. Chapter 1. The skirt that shook her world. Pam Bondi had just stepped up to the mic, ready to drop a major announcement. As Florida's ex-attorney general, she was used to the spotlight, but today felt different. She'd been working hard on taking down an MS-13 leader, and this press moment was supposed to be about that victory. But as the camera flashed, no one cared about the bust. All eyes were on her. The internet would explode in a way she never saw coming. A photo. Just a photo. But it was enough to spark chaos. Pam stood confidently, black boots gleaming, a short skirt, maybe a little shorter than what you'd expect from a politician, and a crisp jacket, looking the part of a tough crime fighter. But all anyone could talk about was the skirt. And boy, did they talk. Is that a mini skirt? Or is she just trying to turn heads? Someone tweeted. Within seconds, the hashtag #MiniSkirtGate started trending. It was like the whole world was staring at her legs instead of her work, and it was driving her crazy. It was supposed to be about taking down a criminal, but here she was, the joke of the internet. She's a joke. Focus on the crime, not your outfit. Another tweet mocked. Pam bit her lip, her fingers tightening around her phone. Her team was scrambling, trying to throw damage control out there, but the damage was already done. Every time she tried to defend herself, it felt like more fuel to the fire. It's just an optical illusion, she said in one of her attempts to calm things down, but no one was buying it. The comments flooded in, fast and furious. Maybe you're not cut out for this anymore. One tweet stung. Pam felt her stomach drop. Could this be the end? Was this just an embarrassing blip, or was something much worse? Her team swarmed her with apologies and suggestions, but she couldn't focus. The screen on her phone felt like a mirror to her pride, cracking with every second. What had started as a simple mistake was now a full-blown firestorm. Her reputation, her career, everything she had built. Was it all about to burn over a skirt? The media was already having a field day. Headlines flashed across news outlets. Pam Bondi's fashion fail. A distraction from real work? They didn't care about the bust anymore. They were too busy dissecting her every move, every inch of that skirt. Pam had always been bold, a little daring even. But this felt different. Maybe this wasn't just a mistake. Maybe this was something bigger, something deeper. But who could have set her up like this? The storm was only beginning, and Pam had no idea how to stop it. Chapter 2. The backlash that almost broke her. Pam's phone buzzed nonstop, and it wasn't just trolls anymore. The comments weren't coming from the usual internet haters. No, these were serious. Hardcore Trump supporters, loyal MAGA folks, were tearing her apart. The backlash was ugly, and it was growing by the minute. You're supposed to be tackling crime, not showing off your legs. One tweet tore into her. Another said, "That's not the look for a press event. How could you not know better?" Pam's fingers trembled as she scrolled through the onslaught. She tried to keep it cool, but the weight of it all was crushing. This wasn't just about fashion anymore. It was about her ability to do her job, her credibility, everything she had worked for. People were questioning whether she was fit to lead, whether she was even capable of handling serious cases. Her communications team was on fire. Emails, texts, calls. "Pam, you need to clarify. You've got to say something," they urged, panic evident in their voices. She could hear them, but it didn't help. Nothing would make this go away. It was everywhere now. The headlines were already out. Pam Bondi, a politician who cares more about her wardrobe than crime. "I didn't do it for attention," she muttered under her breath. She didn't have time to think through the outfit that day. She thought she looked professional enough. But now it felt like everything she stood for was being reduced to one stupid mistake. Her phone buzzed again. Another tweet. This one stung more than the others. "Maybe you're not cut out for this anymore." Pam froze. That hit hard. She had spent years building a reputation, climbing to the top, only to be torn down over a wardrobe choice. Her team suggested she make a statement, spin the story, apologize for the accident. But she wasn't sure what there was to apologize for. She wasn't the one who turned a simple mistake into a circus. Whoever was behind this knew exactly how to make her the punchline of a joke. Pam gritted her teeth, a fire building inside her. "It's just an illusion," she told herself, hoping to quiet the chaos in her mind. But the internet wasn't having it. Her reputation? It was cracking piece by piece. The more she tried to deflect, the more it felt like she was sinking. Was this really just about a skirt? Or was there something bigger at play? Someone had to be pulling the strings, and Pam had no idea who or why. But one thing was clear. She was in the fight of her life. Chapter 3. The Illusion That Ruined Everything. Pam's world had turned upside down in the last 48 hours. The internet was still blowing up, but now there was a shift. The attacks weren't just about her outfit anymore. No, people were starting to dig deeper, looking for answers for the truth. Some claimed it was a stunt. Others were calling it a deliberate attempt to distract from her work. Pam sat there, scrolling through the endless comments, trying to piece things together. And then she saw it. A zoomed-in photo. Someone had caught the detail. What they thought was a mini skirt. It wasn't. It was a black skirt with a beige band running around the bottom. The illusion was just that, an optical illusion created by the lighting and the way the fabric draped. Pam's heart dropped as she stared at the photo. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't trying to make a statement. But the damage was done. Too many people had already made up their minds, and no amount of explaining would change that. "This is insane," she whispered to herself. How did it get this far? Her team was still in damage control mode, but now they were scrambling to spin the story. "It's just an illusion, Pam. Tell them it was a lighting issue. You need to clear this up now," one of her aides said. But Pam wasn't sure it was enough. The media wasn't biting anymore. Pam Bondi's fashion fail. Optical illusion? Or was it? Screamed one headline. Another said, "Is Pam Bondi trolling us all with her mini skirt?" Pam tried to laugh it off, but the truth was it felt like the whole world was turning on her. The comments weren't just funny anymore. They were cutting deep. "It's a joke. She's a joke," one read. "How is she still relevant?" said another. Her heart raced. How had something so trivial become the center of attention? She was in the middle of taking down one of the most dangerous gangs in America, and this was what everyone cared about. But then a chill ran down her spine. Was this all set up? Had someone planned this from the start, knowing exactly how the internet would react? Pam wasn't sure, but she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. The storm was far from calming down, and the truth behind the illusion, it might be the key to everything. Chapter 4. The Secret Behind the Skirt. Pam was done playing defense. The backlash from her fashion fail wasn't dying down, and it had taken on a life of its own. Her phone was still buzzing, but now it wasn't just internet trolls. Some of her own supporters were starting to question her. The same people who cheered her on were now whispering, "Maybe she's lost her touch." "I didn't do it for attention," Pam muttered under her breath. But saying it didn't make her feel better. The media was still twisting everything, turning her career into a joke. One news outlet even called her a distraction from real issues. The irony? She'd been fighting to put criminals behind bars, and now she was the criminal in the public eye. But there was something else gnawing at her, a feeling she couldn't shake. It wasn't just a mistake. The more Pam thought about it, the more she wondered, what if someone set her up? It didn't make sense for her to get dragged through the mud like this over something so trivial. Someone had to be pulling strings. Then the call came. A voice on the other end, low and clipped, told Pam something she didn't want to hear. "You've been set up. Someone wants you out." Pam's blood ran cold. The words echoed in her mind. She'd been thinking it, but hearing it out loud felt different. Who would want to burn her down? And why would they go this far? A fashion mishap might be embarrassing, but this was personal. Her first instinct was to shrug it off, but something in the voice made her stop. The more she thought about it, the more it made sense. The timing was too perfect. The skirt, the lighting, the way everything exploded at once. Someone had planted the seed, and now the storm was raging. She hung up the phone, her mind racing. This wasn't just about a wardrobe choice. It was about power, about someone wanting to take her down. But who? And why? She wasn't about to let anyone make her a pawn in their game. Pam stood up, her jaw set. "I'm not going down without a fight," she whispered to herself. The world thought they had her cornered, but they had no idea what she was about to uncover. The storm had only just begun, and Pam was ready to take the gloves off. Chapter 5. The setup that changed everything. Pam didn't sleep that night. Her mind kept running, circling back to that voice on the phone, telling her she'd been set up. She had to know who was behind this. Someone wanted her out of the game, and whoever it was had to be powerful. It wasn't just a fashion mistake anymore. It was a full-blown conspiracy. The next morning, Pam called in her investigator team. "We need answers," she said, her voice sharp. "I'm not going down over a damn skirt. Someone's been watching me. Someone's been planning this for a long time." Her lead investigator, Mark, leaned in, eyeing her closely. "We've dug into your enemies, Pam. You got a lot of them. But this is different. Whoever set this up knew exactly what they were doing." Pam's heart raced. She had enemies, political rivals, critics from all sides. But this was personal. Someone was playing a game with her, and it wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about her career, her reputation, and maybe even her freedom. Mark handed her a file. "We've traced the timing. Whoever did this had eyes on you for weeks. They knew exactly when to strike." Pam flipped through the file, each page making her stomach churn. The pictures, the tweets, the way everything had unfolded so perfectly. It wasn't just a coincidence. Someone had set her up, and they were using her own image against her. The scandal wasn't an accident. It was part of a bigger plan. Pam leaned back in her chair, her mind spinning. Whoever's behind this is good. Really good. They played us, played the media, and now they've got the world focused on a skirt. Mark's expression darkened. "We've got a lead. Someone close to you has been feeding information. It's not just about the press. There's a lot more at stake here than you think." Pam felt her pulse quicken. Who's doing this? Who can I trust? Mark's eyes narrowed. That's what we're going to find out. But one thing's for sure. This goes higher than you realize. The walls were closing in, and Pam knew she couldn't trust anyone. The more she uncovered, the more tangled the web became. But she wasn't backing down. This was war, and Pam wasn't about to let anyone take her down without a fight. "Find out who did this," she ordered. "And when we find them, they're going to regret it." The game had changed, and now it was personal. Chapter 6. The walls are closing in. Pam stood at the edge of the balcony, staring out at the city. The sun was setting, casting a red glow over the skyline. But inside, everything felt dark. Her world was unraveling, and the more she dug, the deeper the hole got. Every lead she followed brought her closer to the truth, but it also made her question everyone she trusted. Her team was on high alert, working overtime to track down whoever was behind the mess. But nothing was adding up. The more they uncovered, the more Pam felt like she was in the middle of a game she couldn't even begin to understand. It wasn't just a setup anymore. It was a full-blown conspiracy, and it was clear someone had been playing her for a long time. Mark walked in, his face grim. "Pam, we're hitting dead ends everywhere. Whoever did this has covered their tracks too well." Pam's pulse quickened. "What do you mean, dead ends? We gotta be getting closer. Someone's out to get me, and I need answers." Mark shifted uncomfortably. "The deeper we go, the more I'm starting to think this isn't just about you. This goes way beyond a skirt. You've got enemies in high places, people who'll do anything to see you fail." Pam's stomach churned. She'd always known the political game was dirty, but this was something else. "Are you telling me that my career, everything I've built, is being sabotaged by people in my own circle?" Mark didn't answer immediately, but the look in his eyes said everything. "It's looking that way." Pam felt her breath catch. The walls were closing in, and everyone she thought she could trust seemed to be on the other side. The investigation was turning up nothing but more questions, more shadows hiding behind every corner. It was as if her enemies were watching her every move, pulling the strings just out of reach. "This isn't just about politics," Pam said, her voice cold. "This is personal. Whoever's behind this wants me gone, and they're willing to burn everything down to do it." Mark nodded. "I know, but there's more. We've been looking into your closest allies, the ones who've always had your back. Someone's been feeding them false information. Someone has been using them against you. Pam clenched her fists, her mind racing. I need to know who, Mark. I need to know who's been playing me. I'm not going to let them get away with this. Mark hesitated before speaking again. There's one name that keeps coming up. Someone from the inside. But we don't have enough to go on yet. Pam's breath caught in her throat. Find out who. Now. Her enemies were closing in, and if she didn't act fast, she might lose everything. The clock was ticking, and she had to figure out who was behind the chaos before they made their next move. The battle was far from over. In fact, it was just getting started. Chapter 7. The final showdown. The storm had been brewing for weeks, and now, the moment of truth was finally here. Pam had played her cards close to her chest, but it was time to show her hand. She wasn't going to sit back and let her enemies take her down anymore. The gloves were off. She stood in front of the cameras, calm and composed, as the crowd of reporters shifted in anticipation. Pam had a big reveal coming. She wasn't just going to clear her name. No, she was about to drop a bombshell that would shake everything to its core. She had the names. She had the proof. The conspiracy she had been fighting against wasn't just a political move. It was a deliberate attack on her career. Pam, what's going on here? What are you going to say about these allegations? A reporter shouted, his microphone thrust at her face. Pam smiled coldly, the tension in her chest rising. I'm not here to apologize, she said, her voice steady. I'm here to expose the truth. There was a murmur through the crowd. Pam could feel the eyes on her, waiting for her next move. She stepped forward, pulling out a folder and placing it on the podium. This was it, the moment they'd all been waiting for. I've been through hell these past few weeks, she began, her eyes scanning the room. But what I didn't know at the time was that I wasn't fighting an accident. I was fighting a well-orchestrated campaign to take me down. The cameras flashed. Every word she said now was crucial. Pam could feel the weight of the moment pressing on her. I've uncovered the names. The people behind the attacks. The ones who've been feeding false stories, pulling strings from the shadows. And I'm not backing down until they're held accountable. A collective gasp swept through the room. Pam could feel the pressure, but she stood tall. This was her fight now. And those of you who thought you could destroy me with lies and manipulation, she said, looking directly into the cameras, you've underestimated me. The reporters were on fire, asking questions, demanding answers. But Pam wasn't finished. She had one more thing to say. Someone in this room knows the truth. They're watching me right now, hoping I won't expose them. But it's too late. The truth is coming out, and there's no stopping it. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the loudspeaker, deep and threatening. You reveal the truth, you're going to destroy everything, the voice warned. Are you ready for that? Pam's heart raced, but she didn't flinch. Bring it, she said, her voice low and fierce. I've been through hell, and I'm still standing. The final showdown was here. Pam wasn't just fighting for her reputation anymore. She was fighting for her survival. And this time, she wasn't backing down. Chapter 8. The Price of Truth. The dust had barely settled. Pam sat in her office, staring out the window, her mind spinning. The press conference had been explosive. The world knew the truth now, but the victory felt bittersweet. She'd exposed the conspiracy, taken down the people who had tried to destroy her, but it came at a steep price. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her team. The fallout was huge, bigger than anyone had expected. Enemies were scrambling, but Pam wasn't celebrating. Instead, she felt the weight of what she'd just unleashed. She had won, but the game wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Pam, are you okay? Mark asked, stepping into the room. His face was pale, eyes tired. It had been a long, grueling fight, and it wasn't over yet. Pam nodded, but it didn't feel like a victory. I've done what I had to do, but now I have to live with the fallout. Mark hesitated, clearly thinking about something. You've made powerful enemies, Pam. You've taken them down, but you've also exposed the darkest parts of the system. And they're not going to let this slide. Pam's jaw tightened. She had known the risks. When you expose the truth, you don't just walk away unscathed. I'm not backing down, she said, her voice steady. They can come for me all they want. I'm still standing. But deep down, Pam knew the truth. The people she'd just exposed weren't going to take this lightly. They would fight back, harder than ever before. They would try to destroy her reputation, drag her through the mud, and take everything she'd fought for. Pam, Mark said, his voice low, this is just the beginning. The real fight starts now. Pam looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. Let them come. I'm not done. This is my fight, and I'll finish it. She stood up, her fingers curling into fists. There was no turning back now. She had opened Pandora's box, and there was no closing it. The world had seen the truth, but it didn't matter. In the end, it was all about who had the power to make the next move. Pam stepped toward the door. This was just the start, she said, her voice cold with resolve. Watch your back, because I'm not stopping until it's over. The game wasn't finished, and neither was Pam Bondi. The final betrayal, Pam Bondi's last stand. Pam Bondi thought she'd won. She exposed the conspiracy, called out the people trying to take her down, and made sure the truth came to light. But the victory was short-lived. The enemies she made weren't done yet, and neither was the fight. The truth is dangerous, and in a world where power is everything, Pam's enemies will stop at nothing to see her fall. She thought she was free, but the real battle? It's just getting started. Will she survive the next move? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Pam Bondi won't go down without a fight. Don't miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and tap the bell to stay in the loop. You won't want to miss the next twist in this wild story.